basically what we're going to do, we're all going to meet in the rotunda of Union Station. Right now, we're still gathering some people. After that, we're going to march down to Constitution Avenue side of the Russell Senate building. We're going to meet the press. Thanks to all of you for coming out today for our Trick or Treat for Affordable Medicines event. After that, we'll enter the Senate building. We'll ask congressmen at that point whether they're going to support a proposal that gives our patients affordable medications, or whether they're going to trick our patients with a fake biologics proposal that will lead to absolutely no generic biologics within our lifetime if it passes. About 5 or 6 months ago, I was on my internal medicine rotation. I went down to the emergency department to see a patient. She was in a lot of pain. We did a CT and found multiple fistulas, which is basically where parts of your intestines get holes in them. We asked her why it was so uncontrollable, and she said she couldn't afford the month's Humira, which is priced at around $22,000 a year. She had to be hospitalized. She lost some of her small intestines. We had to go in and take some of that out. And I think that's when it really hit home for me how important affordable medications are to my patients and how many of them are not affordable at this point.
And we're here because we're concerned that current biologic proposals will leave expensive medicines unaffordable for our patients. These are medicines that our patients need. And we're here to hopefully inform members of Congress about this matter so that they can make changes that will make these medicines accessible to our patients. As a medical student, I've seen patients that don't have the resources to afford these medicines, and I think it's unfair that they would receive substandard of care because of unjust policies.
We saw a woman with metastatic breast cancer in the ED, and I looked at her chest and I knew that she had a wound there, but I didn't understand what it was, whether she had had an operation and it was healing or not. So we opened up her wounds, and her cancer had actually eaten through her skin and was exposed with dead tissue, exposed coming out of her breast. And she told us she couldn't afford Herceptin. And I think that's another story that I'll never forget.
I've seen quite a few patients, including I've been to a dermatology camp in recent months where a whole lot of the kids are affected by psoriasis and a variety of autoimmune diseases, in which biologics would really help them a lot, and they cannot afford it. Their families cannot afford it.
Like how old?
They range from 8 or 9 to 13.
And so they've got, and is the insurance not covered, or are they not insured?
They may cover for a year, but after that they have to go back to conventional treatments.
So what's the kid's life like? What's the difference between having treatment and not having treatment?
It's horrible. I mean, you know, their skin is terrible and their friends ostracize them. I mean, or kids in school ostracize them. I mean, they don't have a normal life like most kids would.
And what does it mean to you as a healer to be in a position where you have to just not treat something you know is treatable?
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Why did you decide to become a doctor?
Well, to heal patients, and you know, this kind of thing kind of prohibits us from doing that.
When I first heard the story about the importance of passing new biologics legislation, I just basically got reminded of all of the things that I've seen in medical school through my rotations, of patients basically not getting what they need, and for no good reason really, maybe even at the expense of pharmaceutical companies making more money. So I just think it's a travesty that this is happening, and I just wanted to support in any way I could.
So as you probably know, conventional drugs have 5 years of market exclusivity. the current proposals are asking for 12 years of market exclusivity for biologic medicine. So you might think that the reason for this is because maybe biologics cost more money for research and development, and this would allow pharmaceutical companies to recover their costs. But if you look at pharma's own data, you see that the costs for research and development are very similar. In fact, the cost for research and development for a conventional drug is slightly more than for a biologic. So it doesn't make sense from that standpoint to have 7 extra years of market exclusivity. Moreover, the amount of time it takes for research and development is also very similar. It takes about 90 months for R&D for a conventional drug, about 97 months for a biologic drug. So it takes 7 months more, but that does not justify 7 extra years of market exclusivity.
We're going to have to see what the proposal is and what's going to happen, but he definitely does support having a shorter period to generic biologics than what was in the health bill, and hopefully there'll be a proposal he can support, but it's going to be a matter of finding something that has the votes on the Senate floor to get done. So.
Some fact sheets about the biologics campaign.
Yeah, sure. Give me just a second. Thank you. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us. You might feel like you're kind of hitting a brick wall, but more people out there giving these conversations, it really helps them.
It's unfortunately a slow process.
As a medical student whose goal is to help people, is to see people that want to take your advice and want to take some medications and can't afford to do so. And there's a lot of conditions like that in a lot of situations where the patients might be labeled non-compliant. It's just heartbreaking to see people in that position. And it's definitely one of the key issues in healthcare, I would say, is letting the patients be able to get access to that care, and especially with the biologics.
There's a physics professor at my university named Neil Davis, and he had a daughter who contracted lung cancer, and she was uninsured, and he ended up negotiating drug prices for her, getting them reduced, and it was just insane the amount of money that she racked up in bills. I don't know an estimate. It was a lot, and fortunately she had her parents to help her with that, but if she didn't, then she probably wouldn't have lasted the year and a half that she did. But the professor had to watch his daughter die, sort of on his watch, I guess, and that makes me really sad. I think if she had had access to care earlier on, she probably would have caught it, and also if she had had access to great medication, it might have had a different outcome. The last thing you need to be worrying about when you have cancer is how are you going to pay for your drugs.
I would like to ask my fellow medical students to reach out like we did today on behalf of their patients to their representatives and senators.
Today was an amazing start, but we need other medical students, other healthcare providers who are seeing these patients day in and day out, who can't afford these medicines, to speak up and say something, to write an op-ed, to call their congressman, and to say, this is affecting our patients and they're not getting the medicines they need. I think that's where the campaign needs to head, and that's how we're going to win the game of getting affordable medicines for patients here in the US and abroad.